Shiplord is a brand new scrolling shooter for Steam with a very old school feel, but instead of actually shooting at the enemies, you're dodging throughout all kinds of different asteroid belts. You have to collect a certain number of items per level with a very strict time limit. Every so often, a cool boss encounter is sprinkled in as well, and this game will definitely give you a challenge. But does Shiplord provide enough of a challenge and enough content to warrant the price? Shiplord is broken up into 15 different stages, with 12 of the stages being the levels where you're dodging asteroids in order to collect energy to bring back to your home planet of Earth. Earth is out of energy and you are the savior of Earth, as you must travel into space and dodge throughout all these different asteroid belts in order to collect enough energy to bring home. However, there are other races in the galaxy that are vying for the same energy that you're trying to gather, and they're going to stop you. The 3 other remaining levels are boss encounters with these particular creatures trying to take you out and take the energy that you've gathered for your home planet. You're playing as the last possible savior for Earth, a very small tiny ship in a massive asteroid field, and you're going to have to dodge in and out of lots of different styles of asteroids while you're trying to collect the energy. You have 120 seconds to survive and collect, and the more you collect, the higher ranking you end up getting, and there's several rankings. Starting with collecting 70 in a level, you'll get the wood medal, but if you can get all the way up to 110 in a level, you're going to end up getting the diamond medal. While you only need to get the wood medal to advance to the next level for the normal stages, in order to unlock the boss fight at the end of every 5 levels, you need to get the gold medal or above in all the previous 4 stages leading up to it. To help you out, there are a few different power-ups. You'll have a shield that you can use for a few seconds, and during your shield you can run into asteroids and destroy them. This is the only way that you're going to be able to destroy the other asteroids that are trying to bombard your ship. You also have the ability to slow down time for a few seconds, where the asteroids will kind of freeze in place, but be careful because as soon as you use it, the asteroids are going to come flying towards you once that time warp ends up giving out. And you also have the energy draw, where you can draw in any of the energy currently on the map and bring it right to you, so you can get 2 or 3 at a time doing that, but all the abilities need to recharge. What's cool is you can actually upgrade all the different abilities every time you complete a level per what medal you get, and like I mentioned, you can get upwards of 5 medals per stage, and because of that you can get 5 stat points that you can then put in any of the different skills, such as decreasing the amount of time it takes for something to regenerate or increasing the length that it ends up lasting. By completing the levels and unlocking all the medals, you also unlock ships, and there's a bunch of variety of ships that you can end up locking. Unfortunately though, they're all basically the same ship, just with a different coat of paint. There doesn't really seem to be any real advantage or disadvantage for picking any other ship. They don't really seem to have any other stats that I noticed during the course of the gameplay. The real highlight, though, of Shiplord for me was the boss encounters. I was able to easily dodge my way through most of the normal stages, being able to easily get at least a gold in every stage, usually on my first or second try. However, the boss encounters gave me a run for my money. You actually have 3 different difficulties you can face each boss, and you have the gold, the platinum, and the diamond medal. So depending upon which difficulty you defeat the boss, you'll get that particular medal, and that's the only way you can get medals during the boss fight, is by beating it on harder difficulties. Now, the concept is basically the same for at least 2 of the bosses, where you're dodging for 120 seconds, and then after that time, the boss is defeated. But during that 120 seconds, you're not actually going around and collecting energy. Some of the bosses you have no abilities, and other bosses you have limited abilities that you're going to be able to help you out. For particular, you don't have the shield in one of the fights, and that makes it extremely challenging. You're dodging all kinds of different patterns, and any fan of the bullet hell genre will probably get a kick out of trying to do these. Beating these on the diamond difficulty is definitely a challenge, and maybe worth the price of admission for some, especially if there was just a few more. I could highly recommend checking out the game for fans of the shoot 'em up genre. Besides the 15 main story levels, there's also a handful of bonus levels to travel through, and I give the developers credit for putting not only a storyline in, but there's also voice acting for all the bosses, as well as 2 of the other main characters, and there's opening dialogue for the beginning of the game that kind of jumps you in. The voice acting itself is not the worst I've ever heard.
20. The universe is at war, and the only known energy source in the universe is the quasar. Using quasar is the only way to keep other planets alive. It does this by keeping a planet's atmosphere stable.
Graphically, the game looks quite nice. They use some different graphical asset packs from some various websites, and it all looks quite nice, though I have to say, some of the backgrounds, while they're all great to look at, can be a bit distracting at times, with some rotating things that are going around that can sometimes, when you're trying to really concentrate on dodging the asteroids, may kind of think, oh, there's an asteroid, and you dodge quickly and end up running into another asteroid and end up losing a pretty good run. The music that plays throughout, once again, is also kind of like the pre-mixed asset stuff from one of the various websites, and it's not bad. It's just some basic kind of ambient space hi-fi style music, but it could really use some fleshing out, some extra beats, just something added to it to make it stand out even more. A few of them in particular were really starting to grind on me after a couple of deaths in the later levels of the game, and especially boss fights, because you're going to hear those probably the most out of any of the songs, and it's only a handful of notes before it ends up repeating, so that can be a little bit annoying, but what is there, it isn't that bad. Shiplord is actually the first game I've ever been sent to do a review for, and I'm extremely appreciative of that, but of course I have to give a fair and honest review. I had a lot of fun with Shiplord. The boss fights, in fact, are really cool. There's some creativity here, and in fact, if the game was entirely made of boss fights, maybe 10 or 12 of these unique boss fights, I could really recommend the game for shooter fans, because it'll definitely give them a challenge. However, the asteroid levels dragged on for a bit too long, and started to get a bit boring. I feel like there should have been at least some change up to them, or some more added content overall, just some minor stuff. Though the game has Steam achievements and Steam cards already built in the game, so that is a huge plus, I have to say. Shiplord is currently available for $9.99 on Steam. In the end, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. It's definitely a game that benefits from short burst playing, though. I think a little bit of more added content, I could recommend it even higher, and there's a lot of other shooters available for about the same price tag that Shiplord is, and it's hard to recommend this one over some of the more polished ones that are currently available. But in the end, that's going to wrap up this review of Shiplord for PC Steam. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.